I was looking at the Los Angeles Times online today, and there were two stories that jumped out at me. Recently, four LASD, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department officers committed suicide in just a few days. It's big news there. And while the article did not cite a particular cause, it did say that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is extremely stressed out and overworked and has been suffering from shortages and staffing issues. And I just wonder if one of the reasons why the LASD is having trouble keeping officers and keeping them happy is because they have a district attorney in George Gascon who has been undermining them in multiple ways. And you can just go online and you can see all the different problems that have developed between LADA Gascon and his own LA Sheriff's Department. But one of the ones that's most interesting to me is the fact that, and I've reported on this before, that the LASD looked into, extensively investigated rock star Marilyn Manson. They seized all of his electronic devices. They did an investigation that lasted over a year. Interviewed a bunch of people we know because I've talked to one of the people who was interviewed on my show. Interviewed a bunch of people, and I myself have talked to their detective investigating the case. And they found out that the allegations against Manson by Evan Rachel Wood and Esme Bianco and several other women, the allegations were BS and a part of an orchestrated hoax by Evan Rachel Wood and her co-conspirator girlfriend at the time, Il McGore, and Esme Bianco to bring Manson down, get a bunch of PR and attention and big spreads in Rolling Stone magazine and interviews on USA, on Good Morning America and other outlets. And then, of course, fodder for their big lawsuits, in Esme Bianco's case, their big lawsuits against Manson. So the LASD looked into all this. They found out the truth about it, and they closed the case. They closed the case, and they sent their files to the LADA, to LADA George Gascon, and he's been sitting on it. Now, there was another article that came out this week also, and it talked about how George Gascon is facing one of the biggest primary challenges, one of the biggest field of candidates in the history of LA in his struggle to get reelected as LADA, because he's extremely unpopular, he's extremely incompetent, and he has made a number of huge errors and alienated almost everyone, both in the opposing party and in his own Democratic Party. And so he is facing a huge field of primary challengers from within his own party. And, Gascon, it's puzzled me for a while why he is so determined to stand by hoaxer Evan Rachel Wood. And he knows because the police have told him, they've sent him the file, that he knows that it's a hoax. And in fact, TMZ talked to people close to the case and quoted officers as saying that the reason why they were not proceeding with charges is because of, quote, credibility problems with the accusers. Yes, that's right. They're saying that Evan Rachel Wood and her associates are liars. So LADA Gascon, he knows this, right? But because Evan Rachel Wood has been riding his ass for now, months and months, years now, on this, demanding that all of her followers call him and rag on him and pressure him to bring charges against Manson. And because LADA Gascon is such an extreme leftist, he's so in bed with the extreme MeToo wing of his party and people like Susan Rubio, who has been sued in court by her own ex for, guess what, trumped up allegations of domestic violence and false allegations. So no wonder Senator Susan Rubio co-sponsored Evan Rachel Wood's BS Phoenix Rising initiative. She herself is another form of an Evan Rachel Wood. She's a hoaxer and a false accuser and a defamer of previous partners. Birds of a feather flock together. But apparently LADA Gascon, he doesn't want to expose Rubio, and he doesn't want to expose the stupidity of his own party in California, who all loudly stood behind Evan Rachel Wood and celebrated her and propped her up and gave her the platform that she has now enjoyed to go after Marilyn Manson and attack him repeatedly. LADA Gascon, he didn't want to expose that. He doesn't want to have that kind of egg on his face. And since basically everybody has been abandoning him politically anyway, the last thing that he can do is make the extreme feminist in his party and the activist and the MeToo crybabies and hoaxers. The last thing he wants to do is make them upset, because then he'll have absolutely nobody in his camp, in his corner. So he's sitting on it. But here's the thing that I think is interesting. I was looking over today some of the past exhibits that have been submitted in Marilyn Manson's defamation case against Evan Rachel Wood and her ex-girlfriend co-conspirator Ilma Gore. And there were a couple of things that really caught my eye this time around. In particular, all of the various screenshots from Evan Rachel Wood, from Ilma Gore's iPad, where she was corresponding with Evan Rachel Wood, and also some of the other co-conspirators against Manson. There were images in that submitted in court by Manson's lawyer. There were images from that iPad showing that Marilyn Manson's ex-assistant, Ashley Walters, who is now trying to sue him for big bucks in court, she, as we know, and the exhibits just testify to this, the screenshots, she stole a bunch of his passwords and a lot of his login information and things that she had access to when she was working for him that she should no longer have access to or no longer be sharing after getting fired by him for taking his Jaguar on a drunken joyride and wrecking it and getting a DUI, by the way. But anyway, Manson finally got enough of Ashley Walters' theft and drunkenness and lies and all around disreputable behavior, and he fired her. And so what did she do? And you can see this. You can see this in the actual screenshots from the iPad that has been entered into court evidence. Ashley Walters took all of the passwords and all of the information that she had acquired, all of his personal private login information, social security numbers, all of that she had acquired from her time with Manson, and she unlawfully and illegally gave it to Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore so that they could then use that information to try to break into Manson's online accounts, to try to find as many former girlfriends of his as possible so they could try to recruit them for their hoax. She had all of this information, all of this private, legally protected information, like social security number, passwords, and everything else, and phone numbers, and all of this. And she stole it, and she passed it off to people to try to harm Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner. And this, to me, seems to be blatantly illegal behavior. Forget inappropriate, forget fucked up. Blatantly illegal behavior. I thought that identity theft was a crime. I thought that's why, you're always seeing on these shows and commercial breaks, oh, get LifeLock so you can lock down your identity so that thieves, disreputable people, they won't do horrible things with your social security information. And this and that. And we're told to change our passwords multiple times in a year. Oh, your password's been exposed in this leak. Oh, this password's been exposed. You better change it. So we're supposed to be all concerned about the safety and security of our passwords and our social security numbers and all of that shit. But then you can have these women running around, taking all of this unauthorized, unlawful information, spreading it around to create a hoax to ruin a guy, and then also typing up fake FBI letters, it looks like fake LASD letters as well, fake letters, and handing them out to try to perpetuate other crimes, such as keeping a man away from his lawful child, which is what Evan Rachel Wood did with her ex, Jamie Bell, but that's another situation. But you've got these women here, these completely disreputable, awful, scum of the earth women. Yes, I'm talking about Evan Rachel Wood. I'm talking about Ashley Ilma Gore. Isn't it time for another name change, sweetie? But Ursula. Evan Rachel Wood, Ashley Ilma Ursula Gore. I think it's a good one. And then, of course, we got the loser, failed actress, burlesque artist, stripper, glorified stripper, Esme Bianco out there trying to get $10 million out of Manson, except, oops, it turns out she has no evidence. And we know that because her files leaked, and it's plain to those of us who've seen them that she had absolutely nothing on Manson. So instead, she started off wanting $10 million in her lawsuit, and then she dropped that down to the several hundred thousand that she was able to squeeze out of Manson in a settlement because he wanted the BS to end. He wanted it to go away. And so he paid her a few $100,000 to leave him alone. But we've got all of these disreputable scum of the earth women running around committing a hoax, forging FBI letters, forging LASD letters, stealing passwords, stealing social security numbers, stalking people, stalking Marilyn Manson. That was something else that was included as one of these exhibits in one of Manson's lawyers' legal filings, evidence that Ilma Gore had actually been physically stalking Manson at his home. Great, no problem. No problem. LADA Gascon is down with that. As long as he likes your politics and wants to protect Susan Rubio and her ilk, then you know what? Hoaxers and scammers and liars and thieves and all around scum of the earth women like Evan Rachel Wood and Esme Bianco and Ashley Ilma Ursula Gore, they just get a blank check. And so they can just continue to operate out there without any kind of restraint. So whatever, but I just wonder if there's anyone who sees the bigger problem with this. I mean, even beyond what happens to Manson, as much as we care about someone who's falsely accused like that, as much of a tragedy and a shame as it is what's happened to him, but I wonder if it's occurred to anyone else that it's actually a danger to other people in society to have these women, these disreputable scum of the earth, liars and thieves and hoaxers running around because they can still do more damage. Evan Rachel Wood, she's not anywhere near, it looks like, settling down with a primary victim. She's just going to keep dating. It seems like basically what happens is once she dates someone for a few months, they get a sense of how loony she really is and they run. And so I guess that's why she's never been able to keep a relationship for very long. But she's going to keep dating. And we know now that she has no problem making up horrible lies and false allegations and accusing someone of being, a rapist, a torturer, electrocuting her, locking her in a room, feeding her meth to calm her down, which makes a lot of sense, right? Putting meth in her food, forcing her to get an abortion, and saying, you're going to cook dinner for me after the abortion. And all of this crazy, awful shit. Forging FBI letters, impersonating FBI agents. George Gascon, and now the FBI, frankly, because they haven't done anything about it. These various arms of our government are totally fine with this woman out here doing this stuff. Well, she's going to do this stuff again. Because the thing is with people like this, unless you teach them a lesson, unless you restrain them, they're going to do it again. Evan Rachel Wood, she's got many years in front of her to wreak way more destruction in the lives of other innocent people. And the same goes for Esme Bianco, especially now that her career is just totally in the toilet. Never going to get a Game of Thrones coming around again for you, girl, are you? You were hoping you could get that $10 million payday and then you wouldn't have to worry about it, but it didn't quite work out because you had no evidence, except for that one picture that you claimed was your scarred up back, but the head was cut off of the picture, so we don't actually know who that was, and it didn't look like whip scars. So you got one BS photo, and that's it. I've seen all your evidence, sweetie, that leaked. It's all exculpatory for Manson. It makes you look bad. It's no wonder you wanted to settle. But she's still out there. This Esme chick is still out there. And she can still hurt a lot more people. And crazy Ilma, Ashley, Ursula Gore can hurt more people. I mean, these women, what they've been allowed to do is astounding. And since they have faced no consequences for it, they will continue to behave in this fashion. Now, I'm quite sure that one day, Evan Rachel Wood will overstep the mark, will truly do something, will finally piss off the wrong person who has the power to shut her down, metaphorically speaking, to get her in the trouble that she should be in. But until that happens, she's got a lot of play to work with. She's being celebrated as a victim, survivor, Phoenix Rising, Phoenix Rising. And LADA George Gascon, he's fine with scammers and hoaxers and people who impersonate government officials and people who falsely accuse innocent men of the most horrific of crimes. He's fine with that. He's fine with identity theft and people stealing passwords and social security numbers and all of that. He's fine with it. And you know what he's also fine with? He's okay. He's okay with not backing up his own Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, his own detectives. And they come to him after working for fucking months and months and months, years, basically, to resolve this case. And then they resolve it. They come with a verdict. They say, here it is. It's a scam. Here's our file. And he says, oh, I need more evidence. You need to come back to me with something better. George Gascon actually went out and publicly declared that he was still waiting for the LASD to finish its investigation, that they needed to do more work, that he did not accept that the case was closed, that more investigation needed to be done, they needed more evidence. He was begging his viewers to bring him more evidence. What a slap in the face to the LASD. No wonder the officers are dropping like flies. Stressful, difficult job, and they're not even backed up by their own Los Angeles DA, because he'd rather be in bed with whiny, crazy Evan Rachel Wood and Esme Bianco and Ashley Gore and all the rest. Is this what you want, Los Angeles? No wonder Los Angeles is in such a shitty state. But I'm going to keep talking about it, and I'm going to keep talking about it loudly and obnoxiously, and I'm going to take these exhibits and I'm going to bring them up again and show you in my next video. We're going to go through them again. And I think also it's time for a special video, a special expose on Ashley Walters. Because, you know, it's really not fair that Evan Rachel Wood and Esme Bianco and Ilma Gore have gotten so much attention, but Ashley Walters, who, you know, is stealing cars and going on drunken joyrides and stealing passwords and social security numbers and committing identity theft and then disseminating the stolen information. I mean, these sound like federal crimes. I don't think she's gotten enough attention. So she's going to get some special attention from me very, very soon. And I'm going to stay on this thing until the right people do the right thing. And I appreciate your support. As always, I depend on your support. PayPal, Patreon links are below. It's just you. It's just you keeping me out here doing this, supporting this, and I appreciate it. All right? Bye, everybody.